During my stay in Japan, I visited some of the most exciting and breathtaking places I have ever stepped foot on. One of those places on my trip was Universal Studios Japan. Now, I've been to Universal Studios Hollywood a few months before this trip, so I'm fresh off the boat to compare the two experiences. And somehow, I was able to not only do everything at Universal Japan in a single day, but I got extremely, and I mean extremely lucky for my first visit there. Allow me to tell you about my experience in Universal Studios Japan. Before I went on this trip, I made sure I allocated at least one full day to this experience in Universal Studios Japan. And on a random Tuesday, I woke up in my hotel a little bit before 8 a.m., right before park opening, to go meet up with an actual stranger at Osaka Station I have never met before in my life. Yeah, so while I was in Japan, I visited some of my friends from here for a few days, and one of my friends just happened to know a friend who has an annual pass to Universal Studios Japan. We never met officially up until this point, but he's gonna be a huge role and accompany me throughout this entire day we spend here at Universal Studios. So everyone say, thank you, Shu. After we met up, we both hopped on the train at Osaka Station that led us directly to the entrance of Universal Studios Japan. Already right out the gate, I was surprised by what I just said. Think about that. We hopped on a train. Alright, when I say it out loud, it sounds stupid. But okay, so apparently the train that drops you off at Universal Studios is not kidding by that. You are literally just dropped off right outside the entrance of the park. And I don't know why that's so surprising. I'm just used to, this in Hollywood. I was still in shock by just how massive, right after the train ride there, and you walk out, it's just massive compared to its Hollywood counterpart. So much space. And I had no idea, we had, no idea where on earth to begin our journey. We set out to find our first destination in this giant, unfamiliar landscape. Yeah, it was NintendoWorld. But, you see, to actually get into NintendoWorld Japan, you need a timed entry ticket, and I had a time availability spot at 2 p.m. specifically. These time tickets are here to reduce crowds and allow for a safe, open environment into the theme park. My friend has an annual pass that grants him access to the park itself, but still needs a time ticket for 2 p.m. specifically to enter NintendoWorld. General entry and timed entry are separate tickets. And guess who did know that? Here's where we got extremely, and I mean extremely lucky. Because my friend had this magical ability called money, he did some sort of magic by scanning my ticket and gaining us both access into NintendoWorld. But the kicker here is that instead of having to wait till 2 p.m., because that was when my timed entry was, we both got into NintendoWorld at 9 a.m., an hour after the park had opened. Yeah, you can imagine the excitement. At this point, I was expecting to find $1,000 on the floor, and you wouldn't believe what happened when I looked down. There was nothing. But when I looked back up, we were suddenly transported into the most scenic, beautiful themed area in all of Universal Studios Japan. But before I talk about Japan's NintendoWorld, I want to dial it back to summer 2024 when I went to NintendoWorld Hollywood. When I entered sounds a little wrong, when I entered the pipes to be teleported into NintendoWorld, I felt a magical feeling just from taking my first few steps in the park. The design and layout were beautiful, and everything there was Nintendo themed and just filled with life. There were tons of mini games to try out with wristbands, which I happened to pick up while I was in Hollywood.
There we go, good job guys!
Which also is educational time again. Happens to work in Japan if you're curious about that. There was also one ride. Now when I think about it, there's only one ride in the Hollywood one, and but that ride, oh my gosh, whoa, that ride is Bowser's Castle's Mario Kart themed VR experience that is jam-packed with references to different kart tracks from the Mario Kart games. Oh, and there was also Toadstool Cafe, which had just the cutest Mario themed food. As for the taste, it was actually really good, but the price wasn't. And what else? Yeah, there really isn't much in NintendoWorld Hollywood. The area where the park is placed is way off in the back, cramped in the upper corner, so there's not much in place for renovations. But the one in Japan, once we entered the park, you can just see how massive this place is in comparison. And I'm sorry if the videos don't do this place justice, but one thing I did not expect from this NintendoWorld is how much you have to walk. How much you have to walk to get around. And that just sounds funny to say out loud. Can you tell I'm American? But the first few minutes in the park, all I did was look around in shock and awe at how gorgeous the design is. The scenery of this place is just on another level. Now, since my friend has an annual pass to this location, he's seen everything here, and since I've been to this location before in Hollywood, I've basically seen everything here as well. But what we both haven't seen from this area is the new themed location that just so happens to be right next door to Nintendo World. Oh yeah, you hear the music! We both had a mutual agreement immediately. We wanted to knock out the Japan-exclusive Donkey Kong Country Park early, as we knew that would be the most popular and busiest location. So after saying goodbye to Nintendo World for now, we said hello to Donkey Kong Country. I couldn't be any more impressed with the scenery. The design, the theming, everything, the food, the design alone just makes me want to play a Donkey Kong game someday. But the references scattered all throughout the park are just top-notch. Even the most, mediocre, not advent Donkey Kong fan could enjoy the references, but no time to actually look around because we had a 2-hour wait for the main attraction in Donkey Kong Country. Minecart Madness Roller Coaster, Nintendo World's first roller coaster, if we're not counting the Yoshi one. All throughout the line, as we waited, we were just greeted with more callbacks from the past Donkey Kong games. And we even got to see some of the more familiar Donkey Kong family members. And these Donkey Kong family members, they only spoke Japanese. Yeah. Another thing too, cool thing that I don't think is talked about enough, but while we were waiting in line, I noticed that there were water fountains throughout parts of the line that I don't think normal Universal does. But once we made our way to the front of the line, we both got seated in our seats for the roller coaster, and I couldn't film anything. Yeah, so the roller coaster, I actually thought this roller coaster was going to be a kid's ride like the Yoshi one I go on later, but I was so wrong. The ride itself is actually, well, a roller coaster. So I'll try to recreate what the ride feels like. You get blasted off in a minecart and go through a cave at high speeds. Are you imagining this with me here? Midway through the ride, we almost crashed into Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, which I actually thought was another group. So I genuinely, I don't know why, I legitimately believe that the ride broke down and we were about to collide with another, minecart group or whatever. You end up getting shot out of it and landing in water, but overall, that ride was a 10 out of 10 for me. And 100% woke me up for the rest of the day to come. Once we got off the ride, we went over to try some of the themed food that's here too. We saw this interesting dessert or snack combination. I don't really know what it is, but I was mainly interested in the mug that came with it.
Wait, popcorn. What? What even? It's like cereal? Cereal, waffle cone, and popcorn. What? That's so cool.
So after we got diabetes in a cup, we went over to the merch store to see all the cool merchandise that I may or may not have fallen victim to. Epic foreshadowing here, of course. Then we happened to see the man himself, Donkey Kong, dancing to entertain the kids of Japan. Just look at his face. What is he plotting underneath that? You know, I'm actually kind of curious about what Nintendo World is going to do with the Donkey Kong suit during the summer. There's no way a human is surviving in that outfit in Japan summer. And that was about it for the Donkey Kong Country section in Nintendo World Japan. There were minigames here, but we decided not to do any of the minigames just because, come on now. We're adults. We don't do kid games. After getting done exploring all of Donkey Kong Country, we made our way to the 1-Up factory to look at some cool knickknacks that the store had. This is the souvenir shop, and in the souvenir shop, this is where the spending happens. But luckily again, I'm strong and I didn't spend any money while going here, even when they had these really cool figures. The shop is pretty much identical to the same as the one in Hollywood, except this one here in Japan is larger, way open, way larger, and I think has a lot more exclusive items too, but I could be wrong on that. One thing I'm certain on is that they had a lot of everything, a variety of everything from Donkey Kong Country merchandise to Yoshi merchandise to Toad merchandise, and really everything there was just so cool. I almost wanted to get something, almost, but who's actually gonna wear this shirt in public? But one thing's for sure I was surprised about is the Nintendo store, they had a lot of actual good outfits. This Boo outfit right here, that jacket is actually really stylish. And I really wanted it. I think it was $32. I don't know, but I it was pretty cool. It looked pretty cool, and I almost wanted to get it. I can carry it back home.
In Japanese.
Kira. Killer. Killer. What do you guys call that one?
Bombhead.
Bombhead?
Bombhead.
Dang, this Yoshi's huge. 18,000?
Yeah, but needless to say, this store, if I were to come back, and I suggest to anyone, definitely bring a separate suitcase from your trip to Japan, strictly for Nintendo World. It's crazy. But after we were done looking around at the merch store for a bit, we made our way back upstairs to head over to Bowser's Castle, Nintendo World's second biggest attraction here. And can I just say, Japan blows California out of the water with this. You know that line from Megamind that goes, "What separates a villain and a supervillain? Presentation!" Yeah, no joke. The Bowser's Castle is just straight up a castle imported from Germany. The one in Hollywood, you would walk and boom, there's the line. Here in Japan, they make you go into someone's house. And like, I can't stress it enough either. This place is no joke. Like, this place is ginormous. We got lost just trying to figure out where the line begun. We were still wandering in the castle for maybe 10 minutes or so, not because the line is logged, but because we cannot find where the line starts. We couldn't find the entrance to the actual ride because we were taken through this labyrinth of just reference after reference and very minute details to Mario games. It's so cool. It was so cool.
Oh, I have no idea. Oh, I guess we follow this way, yeah. It's like it's empty, but not empty. This place is huge.
Yeah. I specifically loved seeing the life-size, maybe not life-size scaled, the scaled Mario Kart 8 trophies, just perfect. And of course, Bowser's Depravity.
It's so much bigger than the US.
And I really wish I could squeeze in just everything I saw when waiting in line here, but if I were to do that, this video would probably be padded to an extra maybe 25, maybe 30 more minutes from what the original length is going to be already. The line to Bowser's Castle is just something you're going to have to see for yourself. It is truly just something that has so much love and craftsmanship and detail to it that it's almost hard to believe that it exists. But once we made our way to the front of the line, ready to board, we took our seats and once again, I couldn't record anything. The Bowser ride is just the same as the one in Hollywood, so there's not much of a difference from here and there. Besides the entrance, the walk to the ride was just much larger than Hollywood. Once we got done riding Bowser's VR experience, we got dropped off from the ride inside the merch shop, and we took a look around at just what there was to see. There wasn't really anything I was looking forward to getting while at this souvenir shop, mainly because I wasn't expecting to buy anything to take home, because I had already gotten that souvenir mug from the Donkey Kong Country segment that you saw earlier in the video.
What the heck? Tired?
I'm sleepy.
$20? 20? 19, 20?
Maybe $30.
$30.
I think the cool thing about this merch store, compared to the 1-Up factory we went to earlier, was that this merchandise store was more oriented towards Mario Kart. Yeah, overall this one isn't too different from the 1-Up factory from earlier, besides the fact that it's more Mario Kart oriented, and of course it has more bad guy representation.
You know what these would be great for? Pillow fights.
Pillow?
Yeah, do you guys ever pillow fight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
That'd be amazing. Oh wait, they open up? Whoa.
Maybe
Open
that.
up.
That's blanket.
This cannot be a blanket. This?
I know.
No way. That's so cool.
Once we were done roaming around the merchandise store for Bowser's VR experience, we were basically done with the entirety of Nintendo World. We basically did just about everything in under maybe 2 to 3 hours. Granted, the most of our time was spent in that line at Donkey Kong Country, but after we were done in that merch store, we headed downstairs. Yes, this place is two-story if I didn't mention that already. We headed downstairs to go to the final stop we had for our itinerary in Nintendo World.
Oh, it does work.
And that place is Yoshi's Adventure. Even though this is a slower, more traditional Universal ride, I wanted to go on this just because it's exclusive to Japan. And once again, this place was just filled with a lot of Yoshi references through the past Yoshi games. I'm not the biggest Yoshi enjoyer, nor have I played a lot of Yoshi games, but I can at least make out what a lot of these are in reference to. Like, I knew some of the stuff that was being displayed, but not all of it. Most of it to me was just, oh, that's the thing that I eat in Mario World, and that's an egg. And is she speaking Japanese? Being able to see the grand scale of the park on this slow yet frightening looking large Yoshi was an amazing way to end the experience I had in Universal. And there's not really much more I want to say about this ride. This ride is one of those rides that you should absolutely go on after you've done everything you've wanted to do within the park. It's one of those rides where you can just relax and get to see everything you walked upon, or maybe will get to walk to if you decide to do this ride first. But once we got off the ride, it was time to say goodbye to Nintendo World. Of course, not right before playing one more minigame. I have no idea what minigame this was. I don't know if it's even in the States, but I tried my best at doing so. Yeah, Nintendo World was the main highlight for me. We spent 4 to 6 hours just at that park, so it was time to see the rest of what the park had to offer. We walked over to the Jaws area, which honestly just didn't feel like Jaws to me. Maybe just because I didn't grow up with Jaws. I grew up with Sharknado, but it was still pretty cool, I guess. And after I ate this straight cavity, we went to try some of the rides here at Universal. Now, I don't remember all the rides that I happened to go on while at this park, but I did record the notable ones that stuck with me far after my experience riding them. But there was one ride that stood out amongst all the other rides in Universal Studios, and that happened to be in the Jurassic Park area, and that ride was called the Flying Dinosaur. And honestly, after the roller coaster, this one just set the bar even higher for what I expected at Universal Studios. Now, I don't know if there was any other roller coaster that made that cut or met the match of this one, because the way we were just dangling from the air and going at super speeds, looping and going so fast, it was really crazy. I am not a roller coaster guy. Like, I like roller coasters, but because I paid like, you know, $50 to get into this park, you betcha I got on that roller coaster. It was insane. One thing I found interesting that I noticed about Jurassic Park River Adventure is that in Hollywood, the ride showcases Chris Pratt immersing you as you go through the ride and explaining the story of what's happening. However, in Japan, there just wasn't anyone. There were these, I think, animatronics or guys talking through us in a glass box before the main drop on the ride. And then my friend took this photo of me because I, unfortunately, was the only person on that ride who got wet. But we're moving fast because now we're on to our next location, and that is Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. And again, like Nintendo World, before we could get there, we had a hike there. Again, the biggest difference between this Hogwarts and Japan and the one in the United States, specifically in California, is when you go to Hogwarts and Nintendo World and Hollywood, it's just right there for you to clearly see. In Japan, they just make you walk through a forest. I kid you not, the walk there was longer than the rides there. We spent maybe around 15 minutes walking through this beautifully designed forest until we finally reached the entrance. And even though I'm not a fan of Harry Potter, I can appreciate the themed area. It felt surreal seeing how large and open the areas were compared to the Hollywood equivalent. Also, one of the strangest things happened while we were here. Because Universal is located in Osaka and we're here during winter, rarely ever will it snow here. But there's fake snow on the buildings, so we thought. For some weird reason, it started snowing, we believe, because it snows in Kyoto and Nara, which isn't too far from Osaka. We checked the forecast ahead of time and we were due for some snow, but we couldn't believe the timing. Both of us, to this day, we don't know if it's actually snow or fake snow that was generated from the buildings or something. We genuinely have no idea. But after taking in the location, we made our way to the main ride here, the Hogwarts VR experience. Again, no real difference between this one and the one in Hollywood, but just like Bowser's Castle here in Japan, this entrance is massive. The ride was fun, and even though I didn't know what was happening, nor could I record any of it because of copyright, I liked it. And of course, after exploring all of Hogwarts, we walked around some more until we stumbled across Hello Kitty World, which had some bomb food I wanted to try here. There was also Elmo's Wonderland, which didn't really catch my eye too much, but housed Snoopy's Backlot Cafe. We ended up not riding any of the rides here in Hello Kitty World, just because 1A, we're not really the biggest Hello Kitty enjoyers, and B, we wanted to also knock out the New York and San Francisco theme locations too, because it was getting really dark. However, unfortunately, I found out while heading over to the New York themed area that the Spider-Man ride is closed indefinitely. And it just sucks, man. I looked forward to that one. I also booked this trip right after the Demon Slayer takeover ended, which just added insult to injury. But hey, at least we got good food in New York. I got this really good pizza from this shop I don't remember the name of. And then afterward, we got this really extravagant hot dog that was just, oh god, heaven.
No, you got it first.
Was it?
Yeah, it's for you. Go ahead and take it first. Good.
In terms of the actual area, yeah, this place looked nothing like New York or San Francisco. It's funny because I've been to both San Francisco and New York, and seeing how they're represented here in Japan, I thought there would be some similarities. Nope, there's not. Also, the Ghirardelli and Pier 39 look absolutely nothing like they actually do, which I thought was kind of funny. And then a wave of sadness struck me, as I realized daytime was slowly becoming nighttime. Our time was running up, and we both had seen just about everything there was to do here. I didn't want to leave yet. It was only around 7 p.m. or so at this point. I mean, I just saw Elmo.
Well, Elmo just ran. Oh, he's way over there. Wow, he drew a crowd. Thought he committed a crime or something. Like he got out of there quick.
With a sigh of despair, knowing I would have to leave this wonderful place behind, I said under my breath, I wish we can go to Nintendo World one more time. I knew it wasn't possible because we needed another timed entry ticket, and the park was closing in roughly 2 hours. And while standing under this tree, a few weeks after Christmas, Santa pulled out his phone and checked the Nintendo World app to see if tickets were available for re-entry into the park. And what do you know? Ka-ching. It just so happened that when I asked my friend if Nintendo World was giving out reoccurring tickets for later times to re-enter the park at night, it turns out not only did we not need a ticket to get in, but they were allowing anyone to get in at midnight. So you know what that means. We went to Nintendo World, baby! At night. So we zoomed all the way from the back of Universal Studios to the entrance of Nintendo World to entering Nintendo World again and redid everything we had done in the morning, but at night. Honestly, this was just the highlight of this trip. Like, what are the odds we were able to get in Nintendo World at the park opening, come back before the park closed, and redo everything we were able to do again? Also, I really have to highlight this. This Yoshi shell spaghetti snack I had is hands down the best item food thing I ever had at a park. This is genuinely one of the best dishes in this entire park. Also, Nintendo World at night is just beautiful as it is during the day. Not only was the park still lively and scenic, but everything was emitted in light, causing a more vivid pop. Even the Donkey Kong Country location arguably looks so much better in this lighting. And of course, because we were nearing the end of this trip, we made one more round at the Donkey Kong Country merch store, and yeah, I folded, but at least it made for a cool photo. After experiencing almost 14 hours of pure walking and Universal Studios, we were ready to call it quits. We then headed out of the park right before visiting just this beautiful atmosphere that surrounded us. I had a fun time here at Universal Studios Japan. Not only was I fortunate enough to go, but I made an amazing friend who took their time out of their day to experience this place with me. We said our goodbyes as he went to prepare for his job tomorrow, and I went back to my hotel room the next day, getting ready to explore my final week I had here in Osaka and Japan's entirety. The next day would be the day I had one more day left in Osaka, where I wanted to visit Osaka Castle, Kyoto, and Nara. Yes, I said Kyoto, Osaka Castle, and Nara in one day, which is possible, which you can check out in my other video, like that self plugin right here!